Oh, another video request from Donna Niemi. Video request. Slavery around the world today is epidemic, not just in the sex industry, but generations are sold as little as $18. If the human race is to evolve for the better, all humans must be valued equally. What do you think is the way to get people of all social classes to value and appreciate what each person has to give? Thanks, Donna. Wow, cool request. Yeah, slavery around the world today is epidemic. Well, it's not as bad as it was in the past. Slavery was a lot worse in the past. We had slavery in America just 150 years ago. But we still do have slavery in Africa, and kids are bought and sold for as little as $18. That wouldn't surprise me in Africa. They've got this child soldiers. I've seen the pictures of like 9-year-old kids holding machine guns, trying to look all badass, and you've even made some movies about that with with Leonardo DiCaprio, Blood Diamond, or the dudes with Digimumu Batumbo, whatever that actor guy's name is. Son was robbed and turned into a child slave, and when he finally found his son, he was all brainwashed, and he had to like snap him back into consciousness. And yeah, man, it's too bad, dude. Africa, we need to. I think getting troops. See, I don't think we should have invaded Iraq. I don't think we should have invaded Afghanistan either. It was a big old waste of money. What we should be invading is we should be helping out with troops to quell all of these crazy warlords in Africa, and stopping all this child slavery in Africa, because those people are suffering, and also helping to purify their water, provide clean drinking water, and give the people who are starving food. I mean, they're having some problems down there, and they're going to have more problems as we have global warming, because they live in the hottest part of the world. They're going to start having droughts, and it's pretty serious, dude. But yeah, sex industry. Albania is a place where they kidnap girls and turn them into sex slaves. Now, I don't know how that could even be possible. Like, maybe they have these weird brothels in weird parts of Europe where they don't let the girl ever outside of a big building, and people go to some big building which is bizarre, because they couldn't bring them to Amsterdam because the women are out there in the street. The women could just run away. But maybe if they, and I didn't, and when I walked down the streets, I had sex with one prostitute, but she was like worked for herself, and she's like a normal girl, like this really hot Holland girl. But when I looked around, I saw a lot of other women from other races and stuff, but they all looked like they were working for themselves. Like, they looked like normal girls. I saw one girl who was totally out of it, dude. But that was only one out of hundreds. So I don't think that they would bring the girls there, but I know it happens. I was in Albania, and I had a friend, this female friend I was drinking with, the girl who worked at the hostel, Malvina, and she was from some little mountain village, and they do kidnap girls and turn them into sex slaves. And there was this girl in her mountain village who there was a home invasion, because these dudes who were involved in that sex trade were going to try to kidnap her. She was like 15, I don't know how old she was, and make her a sex slave. So she got a gun and killed the guy, and so then her brothers had to move out of that mountain village and hide in another part of Albania, because they were afraid that the brothers of the guy who got killed were going to kill her brothers in retaliation, because that's what Albanians do. There's all this blood feuding in Albania and people killing each other, and yeah, they take that stuff way too far. From what I saw of Albania, they're super friendly people. I loved it, but they have some problems over there. So yeah, well, as far as that sex industry, they should just legalize prostitution, just like, what are you going to do about all of the gangsters involved in all of the drug trade? Legalize drugs, and then they won't be gangsters. They can just be normal people paying taxes. And if they kill somebody, then the cops will go in and just arrest them for murder, and they won't be afraid to go in there, and they won't get crazy rich because it'll make a level playing field, and it'll bring the prices down, of the drugs down, and people won't become drug addicts. And same thing with the prostitution. If you just legalize it, then there won't be so much of a market for all of the criminals to do this kind of crazy shit. I mean, there will always be a criminal underground market for underage, for the dudes who want to have sex with underage girls, because that'll never be legal. But I mean, if it's easier to have sex with a girl who's 18 or over, because 18 is pretty much there's girls who are 18 who look like they're 14. Just do that, It'll take the pressure away from people who have the thing for the 13-year-olds. So, you just gotta legalize it, dude. So, if the human race is to evolve for the better, all humans must be valued equally. Yeah, I agree. And there's lots of ways to make humans valued equally. What do you think is the way to get all people of all social classes to value and appreciate what each person has to give? Oh, wow, that's a good question. Wow, I probably should have thought about this. We need to change the educational system. We still have an educational system that's kind of a holdover of the old aristocratic system, where people would be born into certain social classes and they would get a special education that nobody else could get. And it's been gradually getting better over time. The Catholics are behind the curve because they're the ancient institution, and big ancient institutions, I guess, have a harder time to change. But for a long time, Catholics, and I think they still do, they actually, according to some nuns, they don't let you read the Bible. They don't even want you to read the Bible, and it was illegal to read the Bible and illegal to print the Bible, according to the Catholics. And I can agree with some. I mean, I can understand why someone would say that, because they'd say if you print the Bible, then you could just rewrite the Bible and sell it as the real Bible. But then they had the printing press, and maybe they thought even with the printing press, people could print their own Bible. But I think it even goes beyond that, and they just didn't want people to try to interpret them themselves. I see that trying to have religious discussions with like modern day fundamentalist Christians. They interpret the Bible their way, and if you interpret the same passage your own way, they get upset and they tell you you're wrong, and you can tell from talking to them that they're not even interpreting it their way. They're just interpreting it the way that they were taught to interpret. So just bringing that back to religion, you just had people, so then you'd have the bishop and the archbishop who gets to tell everybody else what to think. And so if you bring that forward a couple of notches, then you'd have the beginning of universities, where those universities were just basically, this is what Noam Chomsky was talking about, back even in the 50s. Harvard was just an elite old boys club, where people would get together and meet each other to become future rulers of society. And so we need to switch up the educational system so that people don't get jobs based on what college they went to. Oh, look, you have a degree from Harvard. And then have that all based off of it. And then they don't pay, or what grade did you get? And they don't pay attention to fucking anything else. And the way that people get grades, it's all on the whim of the teacher anyway, man. I've had so many teachers, give me worse grades than they were supposed to give me. A bunch of times. Oh yeah, you got this grade, and then you get a really good grade on the test, and then at the end the grade's really low. And so basically, we have to have a really transparent educational system that is based on purely test results. I heard that the European system is a little bit more like that, like in England. So they're ahead of us. But see, so that way you wouldn't even have to go to school at all. They'd have all these standardized tests in every single industry, so that you could just sit in your house, because we have the internet is so developed now. You could just sit in your ass in your house, or ride your rollers, and working on the computer, or running down the street, mountain biking through the woods, listening to your audiobook, educating yourself until you get good enough at a subject so you pass the test, and then boom, there you are, you're proficient at the job, and then you apply for the job, and you get the job based on how well you did in the test. And that's true meritocracy, and that's where everybody is given a fair shot. To make everybody of all social classes value and appreciate you for what each other has to give, you have to have a level playing field. Everything has to be on a level playing field. That way, there will be no resentment between social classes. Somebody in a higher social who makes more money because they have a job that pays more, or they're able to charge more within an industry because they're the best at it. It'll all be because he's the best at it, and it's clear that you're good at whatever you do the most of. What if somebody's the best at things because they practice at it the most. So there'll be no resentment. They'll be like, yeah, sure, the guy's the best at this job and he makes the most money, but does he have a balanced life? Does he have a family? Does he vacation a lot? He can't because he's so good at his job. Then there's the guy who's proficient at his job, doesn't charge as much, doesn't make as much, but he's got a nice family, he travels around a lot, and, and so there's no resentment between anybody. You don't have these people who make a shitload of money and more than everybody else, and they get to have the family and the vacations and all that kind of stuff, and they're not even better. They're just in some, because the way that our system is set up now is there's a lot of unfair business practices, with tax breaks for the wealthy. Wealthy can, once somebody gets rich enough, all they have to do is keep investing, and then they get even richer, and then their whole families don't have to work, and then they can get, sponsored and bailed out by their parents over and over again. Banks can get, bailed out by the government over and over again, and so we have to, fix laws that makes, if somebody's going to break the law, if some banker's going to break the law and get busted, then they need to throw them in jail. They never go to jail because they're always friends with the politicians. So you need to throw them in jail and have somebody else get in charge of the bank. Now it's ass backwards. There was some lady, I can't remember what her name is, but she's in jail for life, prison for life, because she got busted selling like $5 worth of crack or something once, and then she got busted selling like $50 worth of crack once. And this is some poor lady, in some poor part of town. So that's what she did. And then she broke up with her boyfriend, and they went and they found a bunch of crack like in the attic, and it wasn't even hers. She was like set up by her boyfriend, and so then she goes to jail for life. Like she wasn't hurting anybody. She's just somebody trying to survive, and goes, next thing you know, she's in jail for life. And then you've got these people fucking up our whole economy, and they get off scot-free, and they get to stay rich, and it's just not fair. So we need to switch the laws. We need to get money out of politics. We need to get proper politicians in there who are in there for the common person and not the super wealthy who pay for them to go in there. We need to let normal people win elections based on quality and like how good their ideas are, how good their website is, how well they organize information, and how good the speakers they are, how much they know, rather than how much money they're spending on the election. How many posters they have in people's lawns and how much airtime they have in the commercials and stuff. But it's also the fault of regular people for voting for those people. 95% of the time in national elections, the guy with the most amount of money wins. And so people need to wake up themselves. I think as soon as people wake up, then it'll be a trickle-up effect, and it'll make everybody else, make the government and the business world change and the laws change and everything. But yeah, people need to stop being so judgmental. I think people should start take power into their own hands and make YouTube videos and talk. A lot of the people have an idea that if you make a YouTube video, like me, I make YouTube videos and I talk, and I'm not like, oh, I think, or in my humble opinion, I just talk like I'm normal, like I'm talking to somebody like across, like my friend on the couch over there. And but people think that I do it thinking that I'm like some kind of like guru, like I'm better than everybody else. And I never said that, and if I do, it'd be like in a joke. But they think that because they're just programmed to, we're programmed since the beginning of time to think that, the person who's out there telling everybody what to believe does think that they're better than everybody else and they're actually legally protected, like other people aren't allowed to preach or start a new religion. We had like state religions all in the past in Europe, and people would, have to, people, the bishops, and the archbishops and all these religious leaders in the past were also political leaders, and just a really stratified society. If you watch old movies, TV shows of like the Tudors and stuff, you'd have the boss just bark at the worker, and worker would be like, "Yes, sir. Yes, massa. Okay," and they wouldn't talk back. And it's like that in Latin America these days too. I've seen that in interactions. Super rich people, super rude. I saw some super rich lady in her house screaming at these workers in the house for like a half hour at the top of her lungs, and I didn't say anything. It's just fucking like, her daughter. I was tutoring her daughter, 10 years old, and she was talking to me like that, like I was a moron. I was like, it was creepy as hell, man. So, yeah, so, so if people would just take the power and they just upload videos and talk like they know what they're saying, and, and give their opinions, because everybody has opinions. You hang out with regular people and they've got opinions. They talk like they know what they're saying, inside their house. So if they're going to do it in their house, why can't they just do it to their video camera? It's still in their house. It's just out there. And if they get a bunch of hatred from other anonymous people, insulting them, or even maybe not so anonymous people insulting them, just because you're called an idiot doesn't make you an idiot. It makes, especially if you're called an idiot by some anonymous person and all they're doing is calling everybody idiots. I mean, it shouldn't even have to be explained. That other person is the idiot for calling you an idiot. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and if everybody did that, everybody would basically take their own power, and it would be more clear, because a lot of people don't realize if everybody agrees on something, a lot of people, they don't even realize that that everybody believes that politicians should be making decisions for the common people and not to make the rich richer. But if people aren't communicating with each other, how are they going to know like how many people actually believe that? But if everybody's making videos, like if you go on YouTube and you type something and everybody is believing something, it becomes more apparent. Like the right wing are really freaked out because the internet's coming up, and they're always like, yeah, the liberals, these damn progressive liberals dominate the internet. It's so unfair. It's because that's what people, the internet's the common people, man. They've got the business oriented stooges for the super wealthy, and the conservatives are all, like TV, like Fox. But Fox was started with $350 million budget from businesses, and the businesses pay them. And so it's not, it's not fair. It's like they're on steroids and we're not. So people could take the power back if they just start making YouTube videos expressing what they think, Anybody can talk. You just have to relax. Acting, if you go to acting school, I heard an interview with Bradley Cooper on Howard Stern, and he did like 3 years of acting school, and he says the first 2 years, all it is teaching you how to act natural, because acting, people forget, have to remember that they're acting, and then they just don't act natural, and that's what makes you a bad actor. What makes you a good actor is you can just be yourself on screen, but it's practice, you just, if you do a few videos and you're like, what, and you freak out, and then you do another one, then you get a little better, and then after a while, it's just practice. You're just natural, and once you're natural, everybody can talk. I'm probably a little bit better of a speaker than most people, but at the end of the day, I'm just a regular average dude. I just pump out videos, and if everybody did, everybody would be. In fact, I'm bad. I'm worse than the average person. I've got more videos than subscribers. I mean, how many people have more videos than subscribers? Not many. So, I bet you watching this, you do a better job than me if you started uploading videos. And that's how we make it a level playing field, And if your boss is like, I saw your video, I didn't like what you said or whatever, you'd be like, oh, and then maybe they can fire you and get another job, but you can, if enough people do it, it'll just be more acceptable, and it'll be kind of like ingrained in the general mass consciousness that the people who upload the videos are the smart people and not the people who are in the position. And so, yeah, back to, I don't know if I finished what I said about education, but education needs to be based on meritocracy, on how well you do on the tests. So that way people can be more free to be creative in how they actually think. Because if you go to a school and your performance in a school, and therefore and ability to get a good job, in one of the powerful sectors of society, and like filter yourself up to the top. The way it is now, it's just how good of an ass kisser you are, how well you can dance in the lockstep. School for me, it was always, you'd never find out what the test was until a couple days before the test, and then the test would be on only one day. The term papers could only be on a certain narrow subjects, and then you'd have to follow all these like specific rules based on on the teacher's whim. Like I did a term paper in college, and I did the bibliography based on the Kate Turabian book, which is what you're all supposed to do. But after I wrote the paper, like one day before it was due, the teacher's like, yeah, and this is how I want you to do the bibliography. And it was totally different from the Kate Turabian. And I was like, fuck that, I'm not going to change it. So the lady used that as a reason to give me a D in the paper, and then a D in the entire class. You know what I mean? It's like giving teachers all this power over their students. But then the teachers are total bitches to the people who they work for. That they tell the teachers what they can teach. They have to be done with this by here, and this, and it's like, if you allow people, if you just go on based on tests, people can learn that stuff the way that they want. Oh, and then we need to make it actually a very socially, a social thing where people have a social tradition where people have personal websites that have all of their political and religious views on their website, organized with videos where they talk about it, and then also where they write their views, and then they actually list out the views on like charts and stuff, where it's pretty standardized. Like somebody should probably make a website, and I bet you they will pretty soon, a website with it all standardized where people just fill in the blank of what they think about everything, and everybody has that website. And so, and then and you're expected to accomplish all this stuff on your completely and in your life, and like learning is never ending. Learning never is done. So whoever works the most is the person who gets the most reward. Ever since so from when you're a kid, you don't even pass grades. I think we should get grades out. You just go to a school. Well, grades are based on age. You go to your class because you hang out with the kids your own age. But the subject material and all of that is a lot more blasted open, and kids could just study whatever they. People know what the goals when they're adults are, so you can go at your own pace. You can try to get the pass the test, the bar exam, and you could maybe pass it when you're 14 or whatever, and then the doctor's test, and then the political test, and the history test, and all this kind of stuff. And see, if school had been like that for me, I would have busted my ass and I would have done great. But it wasn't. It was just, it didn't matter how much homework you did or whatever, because they have a limited number of tests and it'd be on certain days, and you didn't even know what they were on. Like you literally didn't even know what the test was going to be on until like right before it, or what you were going to learn. They just need to tell you what you're going to learn from the very beginning of your life, and teach you everything from the beginning, and then you would just build on that the rest of your life. And that's a true meritocracy, and that'll allow everybody to strive, and then so that would allow people from all different walks of life to be to achieve, and it wouldn't just be the certain people who just keep keeping it like in some like family dynasty over and over again. And also money. We need to value people who just work and do stuff that's good for society, and not value people more who have money and have people who just want to make a bunch of money. And I don't think we'll really live in a world like that. Like all I do is work on my timeline to create missions for society. You'd think that would be people would smile on that, but people kind of ignore that I do it and don't and get angry and think I'm a loser, and it's like there's no respect for it, man. But if I were to be like, if I were to be some lawyer who charged $1,400 an hour to get corporations off the hook, then I'm some badass, Well, man, yeah, he's awesome, dude. Woo, look at that nice house. Ah. But then the other people wouldn't like be angry with me and hate me, and so then it would cause me to be sequestered in my own little group of friends and not hang out with them, and have all these little capsules of society who don't communicate with each other, and so to blast it apart and make everybody communicate with each other, we need to really strengthen the public school systems and not have them take money away from public school systems so rich people can put their kids in private school and keep them sequestered, and to try to keep all the different classes separated. If everybody goes to the same school, we can all communicate with each other, and then the different races can mate with each other. That's a good thing. Interracial marriage is great, bringing people together. And it's just a process, though. If you study history, it's a slow process that's getting better. It's not like worse now than it was before. But communication and if I wasn't, as soon as I'm done with my history timeline, I'm going to make a personal website where I put down all my political and religious views about stuff, and just so people can look at it and kind of get inspired to make it themselves. And then, so that's kind of like your resume, you'd be like, you applying for a job as a teacher at a school, or if you're running for mayor of a town, you just attach your personal website. And because the way it is now, when politicians run for office, they don't have a personal website. They have their website that's their running for office website. So they're putting some fake face forward so that they can live their own life, their own fake secret life, and with their family and everything behind. And this is their fake, front political website. And that doesn't even have any. I saw it in Herman Cain's. It doesn't even have any political views on there at all. It's just fluff. You got the picture of him smiling with his family, and then you got some slogan, and then some stupid commercial that has nothing to do with politics. And it's like, where are your ideas? Where are your, But if somebody's personal website, and it's always like that, and it's been developing since they were a kid, it'd be very detailed, and they'd be like, oh, wow, this guy's done a lot of work. So people who do a lot of work on it should get rewarded. But and people aren't in the habit of having personal websites. Like, I have my personal website clicked on my right there on the front of my YouTube video, and people are always asking me questions when they would know the answer if they just go to my personal website, or they they're like, what's this time thingy you've got? And it's like, why don't you just look at it? It's right there. People aren't even used to, like, they didn't even cross their mind that I would have a website. Even if they see the link, they see a link and they think it's a link to some other website, because a lot of times I click on somebody's link and it's a link to some other, or a blog or something where it's just not a lot of information. People need to value if somebody puts a lot of information up on the internet, and not judge somebody based on how polished off the page looks. Like, my website's not polished at all. It's like raw, because I base myself on content. Other people would just put 350 words up, only they have nice pictures that are all like on some template, and then they think, oh, that's the awesome website. It's like, but I'm done with it in 30 seconds. Where's the labyrinth? You gotta so people who share more of themselves, that should be what's valued, and because that'll allow anybody to achieve. You don't need to jump through all these hoops. So we shouldn't have college diplomas. We shouldn't have requirements to have a college degree to get a job in any certain field. All you should have is pass the test. If you pass the test, you're good to go. You don't have to have a high school degree to get into a college. You don't have to have a college degree to get into a graduate college. You don't have to have and it's just tests. So then it's not up to the whim of whether or not a teacher likes you or not, and all this stupid bullshit. That's basically how. But so if people just stop being judgmental and express themselves, then we'll all just naturally, it'll all happen. We'll all appreciate what each other have to give. And we have to let people be real on the internet, you know, like if somebody does this video stoned or drunk, you got to be, oh, cool, that's just you and you're stoned or drunk. Not, oh my God, what an asshole, you're always stoned, you're always drunk. No, I just happen to be on this video. You know, don't judge. Don't judge is the biggest one. So, but it's all controlled by people, man. I don't like, it bugs me when people try to blame it on the Illuminati and stuff. I mean, yeah, they do on like the like laws and stuff. They do kind of do stuff to keep themselves powerful and rich and all that. But at the end of the day, it's the power lies in the hands of the regular people. You know, regular people are always attacking each other just for trying to do their part and bringing the world up. And you know, people need to chill out and just look at the bright side. The glass is half full instead of half empty when you look at somebody just trying to getting themselves out there. So that's basically that. My rambling video. That's a good one though. Thanks. Peace out.